You're listening to Scary Sleep Stories presents The Dark Hours.
Welcome. Tonight, as the gentle rain falls, we have 3 chilling stories for you. These are tales of quiet dread, strange happenings, and things that lurk just out of sight. Turn down the lights, get comfortable, and let the rain and these stories guide you into the deeper hours of the night. Story 1. The Child's Drawing. It was a small, simple crayon drawing. Mia found it tucked behind the old radiator in her new apartment. She just moved in, eager for a fresh start in the quiet, old building. The drawing showed a house, just like hers, with a big green lawn and a sunny yellow sun. Underneath, in messy, childlike letters, it said, "My home." Mia smiled. A sweet, innocent discovery. She pinned it to her fridge with a magnet, a little piece of forgotten joy. But the next morning, something was different. The sun in the drawing was gone, replaced by a dark, angry cloud. And the green lawn now had a small, dark shadow near the front door, shaped like a person. Mia frowned. Had she imagined the sun? She touched the crayon cloud. It felt like real crayon, not added later. She shrugged it off. Old paper, maybe the colors faded. The changes continued. Each morning, the drawing on the fridge showed something new, something unsettling. One day, the windows of the drawn house were black, empty holes. Another day, a tiny, stick figure hand pressed against one of the drawn windows from the inside, reaching out. Mia's stomach tightened. This wasn't fading or old paper. This was changing. She took the drawing down, laid it flat on her kitchen table, and watched it. For hours. Nothing happened. She even set up her phone to record it, hoping to catch the moment of change. The video showed nothing. Yet, every time she looked away, every time she blinked and looked back, a new detail had appeared. A drawn crack appeared on the house's wall, like a jagged lightning bolt. Then, a small, red stain appeared on the green lawn, spreading slowly, like spilled paint. It looked too much like blood. Mia started feeling cold in her apartment, even with the heat on. The air felt heavy. She would walk into a room and feel watched. She started checking her own house for cracks, for stains. She found nothing. Not yet. One night, the rain poured down outside, drumming loudly against her windows. She couldn't sleep. She got up, went to the kitchen. The drawing was still on the table. She looked at it, and a gasp caught in her throat. The shadow near the front door had grown. It was now a tall, thin figure, completely black, with 2 tiny, white dots for eyes. And it was standing at the drawn front door, its stick figure arm raised, as if about to knock. As she stared, a faint, rhythmic thump 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 echoed from her own front door. A knock. Mia backed away slowly, her eyes wide, fixed on the drawing. The knock came. Again, louder this time. Thump thump thump. She looked at the drawing. The black figure at the drawn door was now holding something small and dark. It looked like a tiny drawn key. Panic seized her. She ran to her front door, fumbling with the deadbolt. She locked it. Then she added the chain. Then she dragged her heavy sofa in front of it, blocking it completely. She was shaking. She didn't sleep at all. She just watched the sofa, listening to the rain, waiting for another sound from the door. But it never came. In the morning, exhausted and numb, she crept back to the kitchen table. The drawing was still there, but the black figure was gone. The door in the drawing was closed again. The lawn was green. The house looked normal. But in the middle of the drawn house's front window, there was a new addition. A small, drawn face. A child's face. Its eyes were wide, scared, and its mouth was open in a silent scream. And beside the face, in tiny, messy crayon, were 2 words. "Let me out." Mia lives in her apartment still. She can't bring herself to throw the drawing away. It's still on her fridge, seemingly normal. But every now and then, when she's alone, she catches a glimpse. A flicker in the drawing. A window briefly, turning black. A tiny face, pressed against the drawn glass, its mouth open. And sometimes, when she's trying to fall asleep, she hears it. A faint, childish, scratching sound. Not from inside the drawing, but from inside her own walls. And she wonders if the child who drew the picture is still in there, waiting for someone to let them out. And if the black figure is still outside, waiting to come in. Story 2, The Sound in the Lake. The lake was the reason Mark bought the cabin. A vast, still expanse of water, surrounded by ancient, whispering pines. It was quiet, peaceful, the perfect escape from the city. He spent his days fishing, reading, and enjoying the solitude. But the lake had a sound. He first heard it on a calm evening, just as the sun was setting, painting the sky in fiery colors. A low, musical hum seemed to rise from the very center of the water. It wasn't the wind. It was too pure, too melodic, like a note held on a giant, unseen string instrument. It was beautiful, haunting, and utterly captivating. He tried to find the source. He rowed his small boat out, drifting towards where the sound seemed strongest. The hum filled the air around him, vibrating through the boat, through his bones. But when he reached the center, there was nothing, just water, stretching out in every direction. When he rowed back to shore, the hum faded, only to return once he was on land. It became a nightly occurrence. The hum would start as dusk fell, growing louder as the darkness deepened. It was always there, a constant presence, a musical thread woven into the silence of the night. It felt lonely. Then, the hum began to change. It started to have layers. Other sounds feigned at first, mixed within the melody. A soft, rhythmic splash, like something large, moving slowly just below the surface. A distant, almost human sigh. And, sometimes, a faint, guttural gurgle, as if something vast was breathing the lake. Water. Mark stopped sleeping soundly. He would lie awake, listening, drawn by an irresistible curiosity and a creeping dread. He felt a pull towards the lake, a powerful urge to go to its edge, to listen more closely. One night, the hum was louder than ever, vibrating through the cabin's very foundations. It had taken on a new tone, more urgent, more insistent. It felt like a call. He couldn't resist. He stumbled out of the cabin, drawn by an unseen force, walking towards the shimmering black surface of the lake. As he reached the shore, the hum became a symphony. It filled his head, drowning out the sound of the crickets, the rustle of the leaves. The lake was glowing, not with light from above, but with a faint, deep, internal glow, a soft emerald green that pulsed with the hum. And within that glow, he saw movement. Not distinct shapes, but immense, undulating masses, shifting just below the surface. Like colossal shadows, darker than the lake, yet strangely luminescent within the green light. Tentacles? Limbs? He couldn't tell. But they were moving, reaching, stretching upwards, slowly, languidly, towards the shore. The hum was no longer a melody. It was a single, sustained note, so low and powerful it made his teeth ache, vibrating through his entire body. It was resonating with something deep within him, a primordial chord that felt both alien and strangely familiar. Then he heard words. Not spoken words, but thoughts, clear as a bell, transmitted directly into his mind by the overwhelming hum. They were simple, ancient, and filled with an aching loneliness. "Come join us!" Mark stumbled backward, terrified. He tried to run, but his legs felt heavy, rooted to the damp earth. The hum pulled at him, a physical force, a gentle, invisible hand drawing him closer to the glowing, shifting surface of the water. He could feel the cold spray of the lake against his skin, the scent of damp earth, and something strangely sweet. Then he realized. The pull, it wasn't just coming from the lake. It was coming from him. A deep, undeniable yearning was rising within him, an overwhelming desire to step into the glowing green depths, to join the vast, unseen things that called to him. His own feet were beginning to move, inch by agonizing inch, towards the water. With a desperate, animalistic cry, he broke free, scrambling away from the lake. The hum still vibrating through him, a phantom limb. He ran back to the cabin, slamming the door shut, locking every window, every entrance. He pulled down the blinds, trying to block out the green glow that pulsed through the trees. But the hum still permeates his cabin, seeping through the walls, through the very earth. And his own voice, sometimes, when he's alone in the deepest quiet of the night, he hears it. A low, soft thrumming, and a wordless, sorrowful melody rising from his own throat, a song that seems to yearn for the deep, dark comfort of the ancient lake. He knows, with a chilling certainty, that it's not just the lake that wants him anymore. Part of him wants to answer its call. And one night, he fears, he will finally wade into the glowing green depths, to become one of the vast, unseen things that hum their eternal song beneath the quiet surface. Story 3. The apartment across the street. Sarah lived on the 5th floor of an old apartment building, her window overlooking a busy city street and directly across another, identical building. She liked the view, the endless parade of city life. It was comforting, knowing so many people were nearby. But one apartment, on the 4th floor of the building opposite, started to draw her eye. It was always dark. Not empty, but dark. The curtains were always drawn, a heavy, velvet gray. No light ever shone from within. She thought it was simply vacant, or perhaps the residents were night workers who slept all day. Then, she noticed the curtains. Each morning, they would be drawn perfectly. Each night, precisely at 11:37 p.m., they would part by a few inches. Just a thin sliver of darkness, revealing nothing inside. And precisely at 6:13 a.m. the next morning, they would close again. Every single day. Without fail. No light, no movement. Just the mechanical parting and closing. Sarah, a creature of habit, found herself watching. It became a strange ritual. She'd set an alarm for 11:37 p.m., just to see the curtains part. Then she'd watch them close at 6:13 a.m. It was unnerving, this perfect, unthinking routine in a supposedly empty apartment. Then the pattern changed. One night, the curtains parted at 11:37 p.m. as usual. But they didn't close at 6:13 a.m. They stayed open. And behind the thin slit, she saw something. A faint, almost imperceptible glow. A dim, green light, pulsing softly, like a distant heartbeat. It was unsettling. She found herself staring, unable to look away. The glow lasted all day, a sickly beacon in the dark apartment. The next morning, 6:13 a.m. came and went. The curtains remained open. The green glow continued to pulse. The next evening, at 11:37 p.m., something new happened. The curtains parted. Wider. Not just a slit. They opened about a foot, revealing a section of the room. Inside, it was completely dark, but the green glow was stronger now, a constant, low thrumming that seemed to vibrate even across the street, into her own apartment. And then she saw it. In the darkness of the room, outlined by the green light, was a figure. Not a person. It was tall, impossibly thin, almost like a shadow, stretched long and thin. It stood absolutely still, facing directly towards her, building towards her apartment. Its head seemed slightly too large, its limbs unnaturally long. It was watching her. Sarah stumbled backward from her window, a choked gasp escaping her. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She pulled her own curtains shut tightly. blocking out the horrifying sight. But she could still feel its gaze. The feeling of being watched was so strong, it was almost physical. She tried to rationalize. A statue? A trick of the light? But the sense of an active, living presence was overwhelming. Days blurred into a nightmare of paranoia. She barely slept. She only peeked through her curtains, heart racing, at the apartment across the street. The curtains there remained open. The green glow pulsed. And the figure was always there, unmoving, watching. Its posture never changed. Its impossible gaze never wavered. One morning, she woke up early. It was 5 a.m. She glanced at her window, then at the clock. Too early for the curtains to close in the other apartment. But, as she watched, a terrifying realization dawned on her. The figure in the apartment across the street, it wasn't just watching her. It was moving. Slowly, imperceptibly, its incredibly long arm began to rise. Then its hand, stretched and skeletal, slowly began to press against the glass of its own window. It was so slow, so deliberate, it was almost not moving at all. But it was definitely moving. And as its hand reached the glass, Sarah saw it. A faint, glowing imprint appeared on the window pane of the apartment across the street. A handprint, made of that same sickly green light. It pulsed brighter than before. Then, from her own window, from the inside of her own glass, a matching green glow began to appear. Slowly, a faint, green handprint began to form on her window, mirroring the one across the street. It was identical. The same skeletal fingers. The same strange, elongated palm. Terror seized her. She threw herself away from the window, screaming. The green handprint on her window pulsed, as if a heartbeat was now emanating from the glass itself. She ran, stumbling through her apartment, desperate to escape. She lives elsewhere now, far from that city, far from that building. But sometimes, especially when the streetlights outside cast long, thin shadows, she sees it. A faint, green glow on the window of her new apartment. A perfect, skeletal handprint, pulsing softly. And she knows, with a bone-chilling certainty, that it's not just the apartment across the street that watches anymore. The figure found a way. And it's still watching. Always. Waiting for her to look at the window. Waiting for her to realize that the apartment across the street was never empty. It was simply waiting for someone to finally notice. If you enjoyed then these not all stories, listening stories haunt, but too dark. There hours are some more stay, and some are still with unfolding, waiting. You